My sister accidentally sent me a voice message that was meant for our mom. What I heard changed everything. And by the next morning, I had a plan she never expected. I'm Ava, and this is how my sister RJ mistake pushed me toward the most satisfying revenge of my life. Sister and I were always close, or at least I believed we were. We're only 2 years apart. I'm 27 and she's 26, and we both live in Denver, not far from each other. I run a small graphic design business from home, and she works in marketing at a tech company. We talked almost every day, had lunch together often, and I was even helping her plan her wedding. I truly thought we were best friends. That illusion broke one Tuesday morning. I woke up and saw a voice note from RJ, sent late the night before. Smiling, I played it while making coffee, expecting something about wedding plans or a funny story. Instead, I heard her complaining about me. Her voice sounded slightly drunk as she said, "Mom, I'm so tired of pretending to care about Ava's little business. She actually thinks she's successful. It's embarrassing." I froze. She went on, saying I barely made enough money to survive and was living paycheck to paycheck. Then she laughed about my design work, saying the wedding designs I made for her looked cheap. Every word felt like a slap. She even said she only kept me around because she felt sorry for me, because I didn't have friends and my dating life was a mess. I stood there in shock, tears running down my face, unable to stop listening. But here's what RJ didn't know. Everything she said about me was wrong. My business wasn't struggling, it was thriving. I had earned $555,000 the previous year. I worked with big clients, including the same company she worked for. I just never told her, because I knew she could be competitive. The cheap $333 logos she mocked? Those were only for small clients. My real projects were worth thousands. I had savings, investments, and had already paid a deposit on a new condo. My personal life wasn't a disaster either. My ex wasn't a loser, he worked at a major tech company, and we ended things peacefully. I was even dating someone new. RJ had created her own version of me in her head, a weak, struggling sister she could feel superior to. And I had believed she cared about me. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. All the times I helped her for free, all the support I gave her, all the moments I thought we were bonding, none of it was real to her. Then the memories started to hurt. I remembered staying up late to redesign her wedding materials just to make her happy. I remembered canceling plans to help her. I remembered comforting her when she cried about money. Now I realized something painful. She wasn't grateful. She was using me. Even worse, she had been telling others lies about my life. She made it seem like I was struggling, like she was helping me, like I needed her. She carefully built an image where she looked successful, and I looked like a failure. And I never questioned it. That day, everything became clear. For the first time in years, I stopped worrying about her feelings. I stopped hiding my success to make her comfortable. Instead, I started planning. I wrote down everything she had said, every lie she told, and every time she made me look small in front of others. That voice message didn't just hurt me. It gave me the truth. And with that truth, I began creating a plan. A plan that would expose everything. And this time, RJ wouldn't see it coming. Not the fake story RJ had been telling everyone, but the real truth about my life. I started quietly talking to family members. I asked simple questions about what they thought was going on with me, my work, my money, my life. What I found made me both shocked and angry. According to RJ, I was struggling badly. She had told everyone that I could barely pay my bills, that I was searching for a real job, and that I depended on her help. She made herself look like my savior, my advisor, my supporter, the one holding my life together. When I spoke to my mom, she sounded worried. "She's just concerned about you," she said gently. "RJ told me you're having trouble paying rent, and that you might move back home." I held the phone tightly, trying to stay calm. "Did she say anything else?" I asked. Mom continued, "She said you're struggling to find clients and thinking about going back to school for something stable. She really cares about you, Ava." A rough phase. There was no rough phase. It was all a lie RJ had created, and now my own mother believed it. I spoke to more people, my dad, my grandparents, even family friends. Every single one of them believed the same story. RJ was the successful, kind sister, and I was the struggling one everyone felt sorry for. The worst moment came at a family dinner. My aunt pulled me aside and quietly handed me a check for $500. "RJ told me you're having financial problems," she whispered kindly. "Don't feel ashamed to accept help." I looked at the check, feeling two things at once, thankful for her kindness, but furious at RJ. How many people had she told this lie to? How many people were looking at me with pity because of her? I accepted the check, but later, I donated even more money to my aunt's favorite charity. I added a note thanking her and explaining that I was actually doing very well and wanted to help others instead. I didn't mention RJ, but I made sure to include details about my success and my new condo. At the same time, I slowly started correcting the story without directly accusing anyone. When people asked how I was doing, I stopped giving simple answers. Instead, I casually talked about my projects, my clients, and my achievements. Nothing flashy, just the truth. People began to notice the difference. At a family barbecue, my cousin looked surprised when I mentioned landing a big client. "Wow, Ava, that's amazing," she said. "RJ made it sound like you were still struggling." I just smiled. "Maybe there was some confusion," I said calmly. "People don't always get the full picture." That was enough. I wasn't attacking RJ's lies directly, but I was planting doubt. And it was working. Phase 2, playing along. Then came the second part of my plan. I decided to act exactly how RJ expected me to act. If she thought I was struggling, I would let her believe it. But this time, I was paying attention and recording everything. I started small. During our usual calls, I mentioned being worried about money or clients. Her reaction was immediate. "Oh, Ava," she said softly, but I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. "Freelancing isn't always stable. There's no shame in getting a real job." She even suggested I apply to her fiancé's company, talking about job security and steady income. I recorded every word. Every call revealed how she truly saw me. Then I took it further. I asked her for small favors, things that made her feel important. One day, I asked if I could borrow $50 for groceries, saying I was waiting for a payment. She agreed, but not without a lecture. "This is exactly the problem," she said. "Freelancing is unpredictable. In a real job, you get paid on time." I nodded, acting grateful. But inside, I was watching her carefully, recording everything. That $50? I didn't need it. I saved it, and planned to return it later, with interest. Every moment, every word, every fake act of kindness. I was collecting it all. And soon, I would use it. Was too stressed with work to enjoy anything. This helped me in two ways. It made her believe I was struggling, and it gave me time to prepare for what I was planning without acting normal around her. One day she called and said, "I'm really worried about you. You seem so alone lately. Maybe you should see a therapist to deal with your career stress." Career stress. I almost laughed. While she thought I was failing, I had just closed the biggest deal of my life and was about to be featured in a business magazine as one of the top young entrepreneurs in Denver. But she didn't know that. I had asked them to publish the article after her wedding, so the timing would be perfect for my plan. The hardest part was watching how happy she seemed about my failure. She started calling more often, giving advice and suggesting job options. She offered to fix my resume and connect me with people. But it didn't feel like help. It felt like she was trying to prove she was better than me. Every conversation made it clear she saw herself as the successful sister helping the struggling one. And she enjoyed it. The worst moment happened at dinner one night. She insisted on paying because, as she said, money is tight for you. On our way out, she met a woman from her gym and introduced me in a pitying tone. "This is my sister, Ava. She's having a hard time trying to succeed as a freelance designer. It's such a tough field. I keep telling her to choose something more stable, but you know how artists are." The woman looked at me awkwardly and said, "Well, it's nice you're following your passion." RJ added, "She's talented, but talent doesn't always mean success. I'm just trying to help her see other options." I wanted to scream, but I just smiled and stayed quiet. Inside, I was remembering every word. That night, I went home and checked my bank accounts, investments, and upcoming contracts, worth more than RJ would earn in years. Then I looked at the recorder I'd been using to save our conversations. I felt calm and satisfied. RJ didn't realize it, but she was setting her own trap. Every rude comment, every fake concern, every moment of acting superior. I had recorded it all. Soon, I would play it back in front of the people who mattered to her. I started phase 1 right away. I became distant. I replied to her messages with short answers and cancelled plans, saying I was busy trying to find work. She asked, "Is everything okay? You seem different." "I'm just stressed about money,"
I said. I might need a regular job.
Freelancing isn't working.
I could almost hear her happiness. That might be better, she said. There's no shame in a stable job.
This company is hiring, you should apply. Meanwhile, I moved to phase 2. I contacted my professional network and set up meetings with big companies, even one of IJ's competitors. At the same time, I collected proof, screenshots of her messages, recordings of her calls, and evidence of all the free work I had done for her wedding.
Then came phase 2.
A few weeks later, I signed the biggest contract of my life, worth $672,000.
But I kept pretending to struggle. I told RJ I was behind on rent and even asked her for grocery money.
When we met for lunch, I let her pay.
I'm really worried about you, she said.
Maybe it's time to accept reality.
You're right, I replied softly.
Do you think this company would hire me?
Of course, she said with a proud smile.
You just need direction. I nodded, secretly counting the days until her wedding. The wedding was in June at a beautiful mountain venue. A few days before it, I sent a message to our entire family and the wedding party. I have a special surprise for RJ at the wedding. Please keep it a secret.
Everyone was excited. RJ asked me about it, but I told her to wait. Finally, the big day came.
The wedding was perfect, and RJ looked stunning. I played my role, the kind, struggling sister. At the reception, after dinner, I asked the DJ for the microphone. Standing in front of all the guests, I smiled. Hi everyone, I'm Ava, RJ's sister. I'd like to share something special about her. RJ smiled brightly, expecting a loving speech.
RJ and I have always been close, I said. She's always been there for me during tough times.
She even checks in with our mom about me, just to make sure I'm okay. I paused, then took out my phone and connected it to the speakers.
She doesn't like to show how much she cares, I added.
So I thought it would be nice if you all heard it from her directly.